You're listening to How I See It, hosted by Han. You guessed it, that's me. I am here to motivate and inspire you with guests from all different industries and backgrounds. So get ready for personal stories of success, of growth, full of highs and lows, and of course, unapologetic realness. This is How I See It. Okay, you guys, I am so excited to introduce today's guest. We have Siff Haider here on the podcast. I'm sure you know her if you're not living under a rock, but just in case you are, she is the co-founder of Arrae, a clean and holistic inspired supplement brand that prioritizes bloating, weight management, sleep, mental clarity, overall health. I'm obsessed with the brand. I actually have my clear protein here with me right now, but I also take the DeBloat. I also love the magnesium. I also love the Calm supplement. So I'm very, very excited to have her. She is also the host of the Dream Bigger podcast. Siff, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you so much for having me. What an intro.
Oh my gosh, I had to. I'm so excited that you're here. I've loved the brand just for so long. It's like a part of my routine. Like when I met you at Pia's event, I had to walk up and be like, I have it in my bag right now.
It was honestly like when I see that, it just makes my day. And so I loved seeing that. And thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
I was so happy you agreed to just be on. I know how busy you are. So I'm just going to jump in. You start a holistic brand. I'm assuming there's a health journey there. So if you could just take us back to that moment and like what inspired you to like go into even creating this brand, I'd love to hear it all.
Sure. So you're right. There was a whole health journey. You know, I was never someone who wanted to start a business. It wasn't even really something that was top of mind for me. It was just that I saw this real need for something like this in the market. So I had just a bad immune system my entire life, and I was constantly sick, taking antibiotics, getting better, and doing it over and over again. So I was on this like little hamster wheel. And in my early 20s, I ended up fracturing a rib from a chronic cough. And when that happened, I went to, my doctor to find out what was going on. They obviously did the x-ray. They told me my rib was fractured. And then my doctor was like, okay, well, here's some codeine. You'll be fine if you take this. And I was like, wait, what can I do to make sure that this doesn't happen again? And she was like, just take the codeine. It's going to be fine. At that point, I was really frustrated with how I felt on a day-to-day basis. I was in my early 20s. I just felt really tired and old.
Yeah, you're like, I've been sick my entire life.
Yeah,
really?
yeah. And so at that point, I was like, okay, I've been doing it this way for my whole life. Like, let me try something new. Let me look into the holistic route. What can I do in terms of supplements? So like herbs, minerals, vitamins. Are there things that I can do in terms of lifestyle changes? Like, what can I do to just overall improve my health? And my goal was just to try it and see what happened. So back then, wellness was not what it is today. It was very granola. The resources were not as, limitless as they are today.
Yeah, you're like Googling like, who is the woman in the corner of the random street that I can go see?
Yeah, exactly. And like, just reading as many books as I could. So anyway, long story short, I started to see changes in my immune system, and I got really interested in just health and wellness in general. And then from there, I kind of started to guinea pig on myself with all of these other issues that I think are very common. Not normal, but common.
Yeah.
Whether it be bloating, anxiety, what have you. And I started to see that there was a real power in herbs and minerals and vitamins. And, I kind of became the witch doctor for all my friends. Anytime Nish was feeling under the weather, I like always told him like, oh, like take this, whatever. And so back in 2018, Nish and I, we were just hanging out one day, and I was like, oh, I really wish that there was a supplement brand that was targeted and really beautiful. We've seen it happen with skincare, and I feel like I could do something really cool.
Yeah.
And so he was like, okay, let's build it. And so that was how the concept of Arrae started. We launched the brand with Bloat and Calm in 2020. And we've been off to the races since then.
So cool. Congratulations.
Thank you.
So I love the brand, obviously, like I said in the intro. And I just think it's incredibly impressive I always think it's very impressive when people start businesses from a place of healing and purpose. And it sounds like you both kind of though you're very entrepreneurial, I feel like after like talking to you, it's always been in you, but like that was never like the goal, it seems.
No, so I think I am a natural born entrepreneur, and I think that this is what I was always meant to be doing. But I'm also someone who's very purpose led. I'm not someone who does something to make money. I have to really feel like I'm making a difference. That is my motivating factor, because the thing is that, you know, as you're going through this journey, there's a lot of ups and downs. And in the first couple of years, like, you as a founder are not making any money. And we had also put all our money into this business. So you really do have to have a sense of higher purpose that's guiding you on those very, very tough days. And so for me, it really was the fact that I knew I was making a difference in women's lives. Even though I am entrepreneurial, yes, I forever, for the rest of my life, only need to be working on things that make me feel really happy and fulfilled on a day-to-day basis.
Totally. I mean, I think that I talk a lot with people about how like you kind of have to have that why. And I think people throw that around a lot, but they don't understand that like money is great. Yeah. Like it's awesome and such a like privilege to be able to earn money doing what you love. But I think a human condition is that you're never going to be fully content with everything. There's always something new. There's always more to achieve, especially if you're an ambitious woman or someone that's just like a high achiever. But I think the real like peace or contentment is like actually finding that purpose. And I don't think a lot of people have that, or maybe it doesn't come natural to everyone. And so I think it's really remarkable that like your own healing, something that was probably like a really dark thing for you, turned into your purpose.
Yeah, I mean, I think if someone wants to start a business, you should have a running list of the problems that you want to solve. So I think that that's really what I am at the end of the day, is I'm a natural born problem solver.
Love.
And I have like a list on my notes app of all the things that I'm like, why has this not been done? You know, and I have so many different ideas just because I feel like I want to make the world a better place. And there's ways that you can do that through like big things, but also smaller things. Whoever is listening to this and is like, oh, I want to start a business, think about the problem that you want to solve. Don't just start a business because you saw your friend start a business or someone who you like online started a business. Like, actually ask yourself what you can do to actually make a difference in the world.
I love that you're bringing this up, because I actually don't think what we're talking about, this like problem solving skill or like motivation, comes very naturally to everyone. Where do you think it came from for you? Like, where did you tell people where you grew up? Like, was this something you feel your parents really displayed to you and then you embodied, or was it your experience?
So I was born in Bangladesh. My dad owns a business. And so I grew up kind of watching him be very successful, self-made. But the thing is, my parents they always taught me that you have to earn your place. Like, it's not, I was never spoiled. My dad really taught me hard work. Both my parents did. And it's kind of what's valued in my family. And so what I was also taught was that money is a byproduct of the work that you put into something. And you need to have just this desire to chase excellence. And so that is kind of how I've lived my life. In terms of the problem solving bit, I actually don't know where I get that from. I just see things and I'm like, I just want it to be improved. Or I see something and I'm like, that should be a business. Like, someone should solve that, you know, or like, why is that not solved?
Well, you told me too that like you, like off camera, everyone knows that like I talked to my guests before episodes.
Of course,
like, you told me you traveled a lot at a young age, like having to live different places.
Yeah, totally.
So I think when you're forced to be incredibly uncomfortable at a young age, whether it's like where you live or the emotional distress maybe, or a chaotic childhood, like you become very resilient very quickly.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, I think so. So while I was born in Bangladesh, I moved to Canada when I was in elementary school. And then I moved back to Bangladesh, Dhaka, in high school. So I did 4 years there. Then I went back to Toronto for college, and then I went to London to do my postgrad. So I've kind of like been everywhere.
Yeah.
And yeah, I agree. I think it does build a lot of resilience when you are moving around. You're forced to put yourself out there. And if someone doesn't like you, it's nothing personal. It's just you do it over and over again. And I think it's a soft skill that translates over to like you as an entrepreneur. I don't take anything personally. I have no shame. I will always put myself out there. I have no ego. And I think that has made me a stronger leader and a stronger entrepreneur, because I'm not afraid of anything. Like, you can say no to me. I won't even stumble. Like I'll just keep walking as though nothing happened.
I feel the same way. I always joke, we're so similar. Like I always joke, like my ego is dead. Like it
Yeah,
is
there's
so
no ego.
dead in the ground. But I think it's because at a young age, like in my own story, like I went through a very like chaotic childhood and had to face like a lot of emotional distress at a young age. So when you get older and you feel that emotional distress come on, I think it's familiar.
Yeah.
So you're kind of like, okay, like I've gotten over that. That was way worse. I'll be
sure.
fine. I can problem solve. But again, I think you have to put yourself out there and experience to be able to build up that resilience.
100%. I completely agree.
But I love what you're saying about purpose too, because I think that going back to like how your parents didn't really like give you a silver spoon. My parents were the same way. Like my dad owns a successful company, and it used to frustrate me as a kid because he'd be like, before you like get a car, you have to change a tire by yourself. Like you've already spent your allowance on gas. Like you don't get any more. Like figure it out. Like call a friend, borrow. I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah.
And it was so frustrating as a kid, but I'm so thankful for it now because it built into me that like you kind of have to work for purpose.
Oh, absolutely.
And sometimes people I feel like feel lost because they don't have it, but they don't understand that like purpose doesn't just like thrust itself upon you in a lot of situations.
Oh, 100%. I think, yeah, like you have to search for it. You have to work hard at it. It's not just given to you. You kind of have to look to the things that have impacted your own life to figure out your sense of purpose.
I was listening to your podcast and I laughed because you said that you majored in political science and sociology and religion.
Yeah.
I majored in political science, English, and sociology.
No
And I was
way.
also going to go to law school.
Wow.
Isn't that so funny?
That is crazy.
I was like, is that just like a woman entrepreneur thing? Or like maybe like for me, I feel like a trauma kid thing where I was like, I just want to fight. Like I'm going to do that. But I think it's like a highly ambitious thing to want to achieve.
Yeah, even when I was in high school, I was always very, very creative. And I was like a theater kid and all of the things. And
I was also a theater kid. I'm
my
telling you,
gosh,
I think there's there's so many entrepreneurs. I know that we're theater kids.
that's so crazy. But when I was graduating, when I was like, I think it was like 11th grade or whatever, I was like, oh, I think I want to go to chef school because I've always liked to cook.
Wow.
And my parents were like, listen, go get an undergrad. If you want to go afterwards to culinary school, go do that. We'll support you. But at least then you have the foundation of an undergrad degree in case you change your mind.
Yeah.
I actually think it was really sage advice because in my last year of college, I got an internship working at a restaurant as like like in the kitchen basically. And I hated it. And I had simultaneously applied to go to culinary school. That was still going to be my plan after I graduated. And I pulled out because I was like, there's just no way I want to do this as a career. I mean, I love to cook and it's my hobby. But, I also think that it's important to actually have experiences like that before you pick such a niche field to go into.
Totally.
Because I don't think culinary school was the path for me. So my parents were absolutely correct.
I know. I'm so thankful that I didn't end up going to law school. I feel like I would have been so unhappy. But I think it's a great testament too to like, you never know like what you're going to love. You
For
never
sure.
know like what the like hardships of life are actually going to bring you positively. And I'm so happy that I was forced to like evolve in different ways, even though it was painful at the moment because it led me to here.
100%.
Do you feel the same way with your own like health journey? Because I can imagine like it was really hard on your mental health as well to have to be sick all the time at such a young age.
1,000%. Listen, I mean, when you're going through any kind of challenge at any point in your life, you're kind of in the trenches. But my attitude is always, okay, I'm going to come out of this and I'm going to have learned something. My life is just going to be better after this experience. And truthfully, when I reflect on my life, the most challenging times are when I have grown the most as a person. It builds this muscle of resilience. Sometimes maybe a business comes out of it. You get a stronger sense of your purpose. You understand what's important to you. And most importantly, you realize that it's going to be fine.
Yeah.
You're going to come out of it. It's okay. One of my friends actually, she just texted me the other day and she said this quote. She's like, I stumbled upon it and I wanted to share it. Was, your hardest times are the raw ingredients for your best self or something along those lines. And I really do believe that that's true. So if someone is going through a challenge, it really is about, okay, how do I come out of it? How have I learned from it? What can I take away from it? In my case, you know, one of my biggest challenges in life led to one of the biggest blessings in my life, you know? So figure out what that is. And of course, you know, not every challenge is so monumental in terms of what it brings to you. Like, not every challenge of mine has brought me a business.
Yeah.
But every challenge I have gone through, it has made me a better, stronger, smarter person.
Yeah. And I think that, you know, at the core, you really have to just get through like one big hard thing. And if you can get through one big hard thing, you have proof of concept that you can do it with pretty much anything.
For sure.
Because anything that pops up now that's really hard, emotionally, business wise, spiritually, like literally anything, I can look at my timeline and like my roster and my like resume of things that I've gotten through. And I now have like this comfort and proof of concept of like, look what you've been through here. This is how you got through it. You're going to do it again. So you just have to have like kind of that courage and audacity to at least overcome the one first big thing.
Yeah.
And then you can just use that as kind of ammo moving forward.
Yes. Could not agree more.
Starting the brand. I know you started with your husband.
Yes.
And we didn't clarify, the co-founder is your husband.
Yes.
Was there a moment, I mean, I always joke on here that like entrepreneurship is like a mental health journey in itself. Was there anything that popped up for you that you like hadn't dealt with, or a limiting belief or something that you kind of had to overcome during the process of launching the brand?
Not in the process of launching the brand, but I think throughout there have been things, like as an example, when we were raising money for the first and only time, we didn't do that until we were like a year and a half into the business. But I think that was challenging because we felt like we had to go prove ourselves to third party. Not only did we have to go prove ourselves, we also wanted the money so badly, you know, because we really wanted it to grow. It was for our baby. Yeah. And so I think what that taught me now, looking back at it, and the advice that I always give to people who are going into a fundraising cycle, is that what people don't realize is that it's actually a very equal transaction. So the people you are raising money from, they're not doing you some sort of a favor. You're not a charity case, okay? You're not gonna go beg on your hands and knees. They are investing in you because your business is gonna make them a lot of money. And so when you start to think of it like that, you stop being so scared and like, I don't know, like when I think of myself when we were going through that process, I was very contracted and I was really scared, and I was like, oh, what if we don't get this, you know? And instead, I think now having the wisdom that I do now with like, you know, 4 more years under my belt, I think my thought process is very different. The confidence with which you arrive in those rooms, that no, actually, I'm going to present my business, which is a lucrative deal for you. Hello, I'm going to make you money.
Yeah.
So,
well, you're speaking to imposter syndrome a little bit. And I think imposter syndrome, like people will be like, how do you get rid of imposter syndrome? And they like give their tips. You can't really get rid of imposter syndrome. It's human. It's about how quickly you can like let go of it when it pops up. And I think to your point, like you have to realize the value you're bringing and like your story and what it offers, whether you are launching a business or you're trying to get like a raise at work, or you're trying to like get opportunities. If you're like trying to build a side hustle, like you're right, like you have to look at the value you're bringing in the space you're filling, which I think goes back to your point about like find the problems you're solving, because people would want to buy in to a problem solving company.
Yeah, exactly. That was probably like one of the things that has stuck out the most, because I would say I'm a pretty confident person, you know, and I'm also perhaps a little bit naive in the sense that I knew Arrae was going to work. I just knew there was no plan B. I never doubted it for 1 second in this whole journey.
Yeah.
There have been certain moments where I have, I guess, had a tough time in that moment. So fundraising is a good example of that.
Yeah. Well, you talk a lot on your platform. I love following you, by the way. It's like so fun to like see you pop up in like Italy with like entrepreneurial advice. Like it's so, I love it. But you talk a lot about the in-between.
Yeah.
And so you just mentioned like you didn't start like raising until like a year and a half after you had already launched the brand. I'm imagining that year and a half was like pretty heads down and intense.
For sure. What I will say though is that, so we put our wedding money into launching our business, and we then kept funding it with like the profits of the business. So it was a self-sustaining operation. We were not operating with a huge budget. So we had to work really hard to be scrappy and make sure our dollar was going a lot further. We had to be very calculated with the risks that we were taking. But I do think that no matter how you start a business, whether that's with funding or without, there's such a steep learning curve either way, So I always say that if you don't have to raise money, then don't raise money, just because I believe in maximizing for equity as much as you can.
Totally.
I do think that sometimes people hold themselves back if they're not raising money at all and they need to raise money. So that's like a very individual decision. But I think for us, it was the best thing that we did to use our own money to start the business, because it made us really scrappy. It had us understand the foundations of a strong, healthy business. We were focusing on the right things. And then when we did go in for fundraising, we had a significant amount of revenue to show for it. And so it's a little bit easier to raise money. And it's funny because when I think of that first time that we were raising, I remember feeling like, oh my God, this is just taking forever. And our entire cycle was, I think, 3 months to raise the money that we did. And I remember feeling like such a failure. And I was like, oh, this is taking forever. We're so bad at this and blah, blah, blah. And then afterwards, I would speak to, as my circle of other entrepreneur friends have grown and I've kind of been in the industry, people are like, 3 months, that's nothing.
Well, I think like to your defense, like it's intense mentally being in the trenches.
Intense. It's the worst.
And I think you really, and you said this really well on your socials, when you're in the in-between, and I think this applies to mental health as well. Like you can't see the like light at the end of the tunnel because it's so intense to be in this space where you're either staying up till 1 with your business, you're in therapy, trying to figure out what the fuck like you're working through. You feel like mentally exhausted, physically exhausted. What would you say to someone who's kind of in that place where they're like, I have to keep going, but I don't know if I have it in me?
It's honestly one foot in front of the other. And I think, even right now, we're in another type of in-between, where it's the company is going through another stage of growth. And there's just a lot of things that we are navigating, which is normal. It's normal for every business to kind of be navigating and kind of keeping up with the growth, right? I relate so deeply to the feeling of feeling so exhausted. And, at the end of the day, like your brain feels like scrambled eggs and you're like, well, I'm doing all of this work and like, where is the result? I remember feeling like that in my 20s, it's a very valid feeling and it's a very normal feeling. But I will say, number one foot in front of the other. Number 2 is have things that make this time sustainable. So what I mean by that is, if you feel like you can't keep working past 9 p.m. and it's really burning you out, then just put your laptop away at 9. Those 2 additional hours of work are not gaining you enough to justify how much you're losing in terms of your mental health, right? Or I don't know, if you are going through grief or some sort of loss within your personal life, then find time to do things that also bring you joy. I think that that's really, really important, because when you're going through a period of time where either it's just an intensive amount of work or you're going through something a little bit more tragic, it's like you're so deep in it that you don't find the time to do things that bring you joy because it feels so frivolous. But those are actually the things that are going to keep you afloat. So It's actually still really, really important to have those non-negotiables, to bring joy into your life in order to make that in-between time more tolerable, because you will come out of it. And at the end of the day, our life is a journey. So we are in between phases actually pretty often. So it's about how we make that enjoyable, And so I don't want to look back at my life being like, oh yeah, that 1 year was so miserable. No, I want to find ways to also bring joy to that 1 year. You know what I mean?
Totally. I think that's like my one regret as I like built up my personal socials and the agency and now the podcast, is like I didn't put enough time into actually finding things outside of work to give me like a sense of identity.
Yeah.
When you build a brand around you and like your story or your healing, it's really hard to not take everything so personally, make it a part of your identity, because the brand is kind of you. I struggled at a certain point now over the last couple of years to be like, what do I have besides my business? Like I love my business, but like this is the only identity I have. So I think finding things in the in-between can help in the short term and then help in the long term when you do scale to like make your personality more than your business.
For sure. I actually think it's really, really, really important. And it's something that I have prioritized for years now, because I am more multifaceted. Arrae is a huge part of my life. Okay. It's like my child, you know, but the same way that moms are given advice to have a personality and a life outside their child, it's actually the same for business owners. It's really easy for it to consume you entirely. But this was actually like, my dad has taught me this and I saw it in him from when I was really young. You know, he always had things outside of his business, and his business it's grueling, you know, he does a lot, but he's always had something outside of that. And that way, I think what it does as well is your business will go through ups and downs. If it's your entire identity and everything that you are, and your self-worth is tied so intrinsically to the business, then if you go through a time that is tougher, you will also feel like your self-worth is diminished. And so I think having a sense of purpose and achievement outside of the business is really, really helpful.
Well, and I think to your point, the in-between moments never stop.
No.
I think, just like I always joke, like the healing journey never stops. Like new life moments are going to bring new challenges, and you're always going to have in-between moments. It's not even morbid or negative. It's like you're never going to really be content. So you need to be able to, like, happiness is relative. So you need to find what happiness actually is to you. And I think for me, it's been finding like the peace in the mundanity of when things are just going well. You don't have to like keep doing to make things exciting. And when things are going bad, just believing that, you know, we're going to get through this, and then there's going to be another thing, and then there's going to be another thing. I think when you set a realistic expectation for what life is supposed to owe you, like, you do feel happier and more content.
1,000%. I couldn't agree more.
Okay. So one of your minors was religion.
Yeah.
Are you a spiritual person? Like a religious spiritual person? Do you just love exploring that kind of stuff?
I'm definitely spiritual. So I actually didn't go into college thinking I would study religion. So I had a double major. It was political science and sociology. We had to do, if I remember correctly, like there were certain courses that we had to do which were more general that would count towards credits.
Yeah.
And so I decided to take world religion as one of those courses, and I fell in love with it. I was like, this is so interesting, because I also love history. I always have.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, well, let me take another course. And then from there, I essentially realized that, okay, at the rate that I'm going, I may as well have a minor in this, because this is what I'm clearly enjoying doing so much. I loved religion the most out of all three of those things that I majored and minored in, because I think it taught me a lot about the human psyche. And again, like the history bit is always really, really interesting.
I love that you're bringing this up, because I was going to say, like, as you were talking, like, I feel like it makes you a better business owner when you understand where everyone is coming from. Like when you can extend empathy towards everyone and understand like what impacts people and the stories that impact people and the products that impact people, and like kind of like everyone's narrative of like the culture they've been built in and like the belief system they've been built in, you can really speak to people better, which is literally our job to be a podcaster and business owner.
Yeah, I mean, look, I think that the more you can understand that people are who they are because their backstory, their life has made them who they are, I think it helps you be more empathetic and less judgmental. And I think it helps you through life. You know, of course it helps you in your business, but it helps you through life, where you can just put judgment aside and take people at face value and understand that people are not everyone's a villain. Yeah. Just because you don't agree with someone doesn't mean they're a bad person. And I think that that's what it taught me, that when you study religion, you understand that people have a strong sense of belief because of whatever they've been taught, right? And it's not that they're bad or you're good. It's bad or good, like unless you've like murdered someone or you've done something like truly heinous. You know what I mean? It's like your beliefs don't necessarily make you a bad person. They're just they just are the way that they are because you have a different backstory from someone else.
Well, yeah, and I think like as just humans on this planet, like our like what we hate the most is like this mundanity piece and this like Groundhog's Day. And like, I think it makes us kind of go crazy. And the thing that makes life interesting and the thing that makes people dynamic is that we're all different.
Totally.
And I think it's so cool to, I don't know, I wanted to ask you about it because I was like, I have to ask her in this interview, like what, like she's like done with it or why she did it. And I think it's just so cool.
I just think I'm curious about how humans think. Yeah. And so that really, you know, just allowed me to delve deeper into that. I just think it's really fascinating.
Yeah, I think it's so cool to learn. Like I even like with Frankenstein coming out and I watched the movie and I feel like I haven't watched a movie in a while that like kind of like moved me like artistically. I was like, this is so cool because everything's same now. And so I was like, I want to pick up like the book that I read, like, because you know in college I were forced to read all the classics again if you're in the English major.
Yes.
So I was like, I'm going to pick it up and read it again. And then I was like, I want to read all the classics again. You have to keep life interesting and dynamic. The world doesn't owe you that. Like you have to seek that out. Like if you're bored or like don't know where you're going, like you have to take steps to like make life interesting and find purpose.
Could not agree more.
Okay, back to business. I'm sorry, I'm whipping you around. This is how my brain works. So I think one of the most under talked about parts of entrepreneurship is the like level of self-trust that you need to have. And something I love about Arrae that I feel like sets you guys apart is that you take a lot of risks that like fashion brands do. Like you put a lot into your drops. Like you used Pamela Anderson for one of the drops. You like took over the subways in New York. I think that that's a risk as a brand. You're investing a lot of time, money, resources into doing these things. I've only seen fashion brands like take those risks. I think it's incredibly cool that you guys do that. Do you think you developed self-trust over time, or do you think that's something that has just you've always kind of had at your core?
Well, first, thank you. You know, we are really thoughtful and intentional about every single product launch that we do and how we approach those launches. So I appreciate you saying that. It's really nice. In terms of self-trust, it's like a two-faceted answer. Number one, yes, I think I have always been a confident person, but I think you also build on that confidence, right? So I think self-trust is like it's almost a muscle based on evidence that you build for yourself.
Totally.
I think no matter what, you go through moments where you doubt yourself, and I think at that point it's just really important to kind of look at the evidence that you have created over time and show yourself that there's really no reason to doubt. Also, I think that it's really normal for human beings to make mistakes, you know? And so I know that I'm not going to go through life without making a single mistake. And I'm actually open to making those mistakes. I would rather take risks and make mistakes than not do anything because I don't trust myself at all, you know, or I'm too scared to do anything. I think that you build self-trust over time as well.
Yeah, I mean, I love that you brought that up because I think self-trust, people assume, like, especially in business, that it's like, I trust that I'm making the right decision. And I actually don't think it's about that. I think it's about trusting that you're going to be okay if you don't. And like trusting you can get out of problems.
For sure. So I think when it comes to business, yes, like you must trust yourself and understand like why you think something is the right bet. You also have to kind of, there's a data piece to it, of course, as well. And then there's a financial piece to it, which is, okay, if I take this bet, what does this actually mean? Does this mean that I'm gambling the entire business on this one decision? That is really stupid. I don't recommend anyone does that.
Yeah.
But our motto at Arrae has always been take the biggest risk possible that doesn't kick you out of the game. And so that's how we have operated our business right from the first decision that we've made, you know? So if we take this risk and it goes under, do we have enough money to do it all over again? If yes, it's the right decision. If no, it's too big a risk and it's stupid.
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, when it comes to decision making around product, as an example, it really is a combination of the data with self-trust. So I do the trend forecasting for the most part for the company. I think this is going to happen because of XYZ patterns that I'm noticing.
Yeah.
We try to get data to back that up, and then we make a decision. And sometimes it's the right decision. Most of the times it has been. And at times it's been maybe the wrong, or no, I wouldn't say the wrong decision, but maybe
you have to pivot.
Yeah, you pivot, or like maybe a product hasn't done exactly what we thought it would do. And other times it's, you know, someone else on our team has made a decision about what product we should be doing based on data. And even that has not been the exact right decision. But that's okay. That's how you learn, and that's how you operate a business.
Yeah. Well, and I think the more mistakes you make, the more you can kind of like decipher your gut.
For
because
sure.
like now I feel like when I'm making decisions, I'm like, no, I know this is going to work. And even if people are like, I don't know. And I'm like, I know it. Like I have that feeling, and like I've messed up enough times to know that like this is the right decision.
Yeah.
And so you kind of have to like be willing to like fuck up to like figure out your gut, even because it's hard. Like you're not naturally, I mean, at least most people are not naturally born like intuitive where they like know the sound of their gut and their voice and they know which direction to go in.
Yeah, 1,000%.
How was it working with Pamela?
She was amazing. She was amazing. Her team was amazing. First time we got on a call with her, it was before we had signed anything. It was just like we were starting conversations, and I just knew she was the right person to work with because of how she showed up to that conversation. You know, she was curious, she was kind, she was great. You know,
I saw when you guys first announced it, I was like, no fucking way, that is so cool.
Yeah,
you're really like, I'm telling you, like, I mean it when I give the compliment. Like, you're really on top of like the trend, and you've really built something so special and unique. I think there's so many supplement brands now, but like yours stands out a lot. And I think it's obvious that you're a fashion like girly yourself too. So I think it's like the way you show yourself in the brand too.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. Again, we're so intentional. Our whole mission was to make supplements like cool and exciting for people to use, of course grounded in a lot of science, but when we started out, the industry was just not what it is today, you know, and we really wanted to have women feel really proud about the products that they were using instead of hiding it away in a pantry because they were so embarrassed. And so every decision that we've made has been through that lens that, you know, is this something that makes our consumer feel empowered? Is this something that makes them feel excited? Are we changing the narrative on a problem that has historically been unsexy? How can we change that, you know? So everything we've done has been through that lens, and it's been very fun.
So cool. What's your favorite product?
Oh my God, that's like asking me to pick my favorite child.
I know, but everyone kind of has one.
Okay, I'll give you the answer from the can't live without and things that I take every day.
Okay.
So I think bloat is the one product that I can have in my bag and know that I can eat anything and I will be fine. So it's a massive kind of life improver because you give yourself so much food freedom. And even beyond that, you know, like I could be traveling and I know I'm just going to be comfortable. And I know it sounds so minor, but
no,
if you're uncomfortable, that really does bleed into how you show up, you know?
Yeah. Specifically for women.
For women specifically, I agree. So I feel like that's the one that it's like my safety net, you know, where I know if I have it, I'm going to be okay.
Yeah.
In terms of the product that I take every single day, in the morning, I take Tribiotic, which I love because I never get sick because it's a pro, postbiotic with a toxin binder. And so it strengthens your immune system like beyond. And so for me, especially like this time of year, you know, we're in Q4, it's a really demanding time of year. Oftentimes I'm not getting as much sleep as I would like to get. And so during that time, this is my insurance policy, you know?
Yeah.
And then before going to bed, I take magnesium and sleep every night. Of course, MB1 I cycle on and off of. Love Clear Protein. I take Tone every single day. So it's hard to pick a favorite.
It's a lifestyle.
Yeah, it's a lifestyle. And I think each of our products fits into my life in a different kind of way.
The Dublo is like the best. Like I'm the person like after flights and at the restaurant that everyone goes and they're like, do you have your Dublo in your purse? And I'm like, obviously.
Yeah.
And they give it to everyone. Because you're right. Like and I don't think people like to talk about this, but like food freedom is really hard for women. Like I'm someone that like goes to a restaurant and if I have a shoot the next day or something's going on, it's like a whole conversation in my head. Like, what am I going to eat right now? Or I'm in this dress for the rest of the night. Am I going to be uncomfortable if I eat this pasta? Like it sucks. It's this whole spirally narrative. And knowing that you have a product that works in your bag where you're like, okay, I'm fine. Like if I eat this, I can take this, I'll be fine. And then being that person for your friends too. That's like, let's all take the Dublo. I'm like super bloated after my flights, like getting off the plane in New York. I just love the product. I think it's amazing. And then I told you, I have my Clear Protein with me right now.
That makes my day.
Because it's so hard to eat enough protein when you're go like all day. Like when we're doing episodes back to back and then like just going from one thing to another, it's like you almost don't have like an appetite sometimes because you're going. And at least I know I'm taken care of if I'm just like drinking this.
1,000%. And it's obviously it has the electrolytes, which is amazing for the hydration piece as well. So I mean, listen, our products were always intended to fit into your life and just we are not a judgmental brand about what you do with your day or your life or your time or whatever it is. We just want to make you feel a little bit better.
I love it. I love it so much. Okay, before I let you go, I need to ask like a couple high maintenance routines for like low maintenance lifestyle. Like I feel like I have so many things I do because I'm so go. Like they just need to be done. Like my laminations and the facials and my Botox. Like what are a couple things that are like non-negotiable for you?
I always have my nails done.
Okay, yes.
That just helps me feel more put together.
Yeah.
I've had my nails done, I think, for 3 years. It's just my thing. Yeah. I hate getting it done. I hate it. I wish I could just drop my hands off and pick them back up, but that obviously is not a thing. But yeah, I think getting my nails done, very important. When I'm traveling, I pre-plan all my outfits, which is really important because when I get there, I just want to go.
Yeah.
I don't want to sit there and have to decide what I'm wearing, blah, blah, blah. No, I just know what looks I have for the whole trip. And it just makes me an efficient packer as well. What else? Obviously facials. I have a standing hair appointment every, I think 3 or 4 months, I want to say. I work with a trainer.
Yeah.
Like 5 times a week.
Love.
You know, so these are things I think the training portion of it's mental health for me. At the end of the day, I go to the gym and sometimes I'm exhausted and it's just nice to have someone tell you what to do.
Yeah. Well, yeah. So, I was going to ask you too, like, well, especially when you're like bossing everybody else around, it's nice to just be like, I don't want to think right now.
Yeah. I don't want to think. Yeah. I just want to get there and just be told what to do and know I'm going to see results.
Yeah. Yeah. You mentioned for your mental health, is there anything else that you feel like you do as an entrepreneur that just really keeps your mindset in check? I mean, we said that like entrepreneurship is a mental health journey just as much as anything else.
Yeah, for sure. I do not like to look at my phone before going to bed or right when I wake up. I just think that otherwise I'm in this cycle of constantly reacting and consuming, and I don't think it does anyone any favors to be in that cycle at all times. I also like to cut off conversations about work at around 9:30. You know, I live with my co-founder. My co-founder is my husband. And so we've developed those boundaries to ensure that I'm personally like, I'm an early morning person and I like to sleep earlier at night. He's opposite, but at the same time, I don't think it would be fair if I at 6 a.m. went to him and was like, hey, like, want to talk about all these problems, and he's not even awake.
Yeah.
You know, so it's
cortisol
the same
spike.
Yeah. I mean, he's not going to like that. And also he's sleeping.
Yeah.
So you know what I mean? Like, I'm not going to wake him up from his slumber at 6 a.m. 2 hours before he was supposed to wake up and like bombard him. So it's the same thing. It's just about respecting each other's boundaries. So I feel like that's really important. The no phone thing is also really important. I also think that, again, for mental health, like movement, really important. I go for walks every morning. That's really important. Like I just wake up and immediately I'm out for a walk. I love that. And I'm not checking my Slack and I'm not checking my email when I'm going for my walk. On a more macro scale, I think, you know, I go on trips as well with my husband. We travel like 2-3 times a year, and that's like, you know, fun, like our time to connect and all of that. I think that's really important. I make time for my friends, also really important for mental health. My God, I feel like a girls' night is healing.
Yeah, well, especially women who are like-minded as well, because they get it. Not that like my friends who aren't entrepreneurs don't get it, but I do feel like there is this, like, sometimes you do need to vent about something you're going through mindset-wise with someone that relates.
For sure.
So I feel like I used to not prioritize like friends in that way because I was like, I have so much to do. I just need to do this. But I do feel like I actually view it as productive to go now sit with friends and sit with them and be like, can I like kind of dump on you about this problem I have? Or like, can we talk about like how I'm feeling with this? And like, it ends up being way more healing and way more productive.
Yeah, absolutely. And also I think, you know, it took me a long time to learn this, where I would always say I wouldn't be there to do fun things with my friends, whether it was their birthdays or, you know, they're going on a trip or whatever. And of course, I understand it's not possible to be there for every single thing, so take your pick. But I had skewed so much to the side of just career that and I would always say, oh, my friends know they can come to me when something goes wrong, right? And I realized that, okay, but I'm never there for them. So why would I be the person that they come to when something goes wrong? Like, that's a stupid thing to say. You know, you go to the person who makes you feel seen and comforted through every phase of your life. And so for me, friendships and my relationships are incredibly important. My family is everything to me, and I always make time for them. And same with my friends, you know? Yeah. So I just feel like, you know, even if I become this world's most successful woman and have no one, what a miserable experience that would be. So totally. I like those relationships, friendships, family, like all of that is really important to me. My marriage is really important to me. These are like the foundation things of my life, you know? Everything else builds on top of that.
Yeah, no, totally. Are you a therapy person at all?
I'm not.
You're like, no, but you do the manifestation, like affirmation stuff. I was listening to one of your episodes.
I journal a lot. We have a coach that we work with over the last few months who I really love. But yeah, I've not really needed therapy. But I do a lot of work outside of therapy though.
You have different versions of it. Exactly. It sounds like. I think healing looks different for everyone too.
For sure.
And I think like working out, of course, but I think journaling and also like the affirmation thing. What's her name? Mimi's affirmations.
I love Mimi. Yeah.
Like that's super healing and therapy in itself.
Yeah, 1,000%. I think it's about how you are spending time with yourself. I mean, I have journaled every day for, 20 minutes to a half hour, and on certain days longer, for over 10 years. That's a lot of time that I'm spending on my own, that I'm spending reflecting on my life. I'm reading books all the time about how to work through triggers. I'm always doing work on it. You know, there's periods of time where I'm doing like deep meditations. I think the main thing is you need to be able to spend time with yourself and be reflective in order to move through whatever it is that life is throwing at you.
Well, you've developed a very like rigid, in a good way, regulation practice for so many years. And I think like a lot of us need therapy or modalities of therapy to regulate, and like that's yours.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So cool. Well, thank you so much for coming on. I ask everyone as the last question before they leave the podcast, like looking back, there's so much to come, but looking back at everything you've done and accomplished, how do you see it? How do you see it all?
How do I see it all? I mean, it's like my pride and joy. I'm so proud of everything that I've built. I'm so proud of the life I've built, the business I have, the team that I've built. Like I wake up and I have my dream job and my dream life. I mean, what more can I say?
Yeah. Thank you so much, Siff. Please share where people can follow you, and then also follow the brand and shop the brand.
Of course. So you can find Arrae, shop Arrae at arrae.com, and Arrae across all socials. I am at Siff Haider, and my podcast is the Dream Bigger Podcast, wherever podcasts are found.
Yay. Thank you, Siff.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much for listening. I hope you enjoyed the episode, and I hope you leave here feeling motivated and inspired. Do not forget to rate and review the pod on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. And don't forget to follow How I See It Pod so you can keep up with podcast updates and see who's coming on next. And if you're not already, come join the fam and follow at How Han Sees It. Thank you guys.